trust in you.
Well, that didn't suck.
I'll take what I can get. Good night, kiddo.
Meditation, which of course can be also called mindfulness. One of the big misconceptions about meditation is about the thoughts that come up when we meditate, and what does that mean? You know, people try to meditate as if they're trying to switch their mind off and go into a blank state. Clear your mind, blank out your mind, still your mind. I mean, all of that doesn't work, because the more you try to still your mind, the busier it becomes. So it's a different game altogether. It's not about suppression, it's not about silencing the mind. It's about learning to not get so involved in the thoughts and just let them go. The thoughts can just go by like clouds in the sky. A modern image would be traffic. You're standing at the side of a road, lots of cars going by. Do you get in those cars or not? That's the question. Maybe those cars are taxis. Taxi only stops if you put your hand out, and then you get in the taxi and go for a drive. I mean, even though we are intelligent, educated, free-thinking people, we're not really free deep down inside, because our moods, our mind states, we don't choose them. We don't choose to be irritated. We don't choose to get annoyed. We certainly don't choose to be depressed or anxious. So there's not much freedom there. The mind is doing stuff we don't want it to do. So it's almost as if we are automatically, unwillingly jumping in all those taxis in our head. So it's about letting it go by, so letting the thoughts go by, not getting so wound up in them. And so as that grows and builds and we become better at it, we'll find that we are less tormented by our own mind.
I don't think I can ever forgive you for that. But I would like to try.
I like that.
And each time I thought I'd found my Prince Charming. Most people fall in love quite a few times in their lives.
Well then, how can you tell when you're really in love?
Well, I'll have to think about that. Let's say tomorrow, shall we?
And you were really in love with Betty and Mary and Alice and I don't know who else. And there'll be others, I suppose.
Oh no, that's over with. Say, Nora, talking about music, have you heard the new recording of the Brahms Violin Concerto?
No, I guess I never really learned to appreciate classical.
Bob, did you feel this way when you fell in love with Jean?
Oh, look. I've felt that way lots of times. The trouble with you is, you don't seem to understand what love is really about. It's nothing like the slush they give you in the movies.
Well, I don't know, Bob.
Mature love. That's a new way of thinking about it. How can you tell when love is mature?
Well, mature love is more settled. Mature love has something of the other kind of love in it and something more singular. It's tender, unselfish, cooperative.
When I get serious about somebody now, I want to have that kind of love.
Hello. Hi. Welcome.
Hey,
Welcome to another episode of Fear and Loathing in the Windy City, right at 2 p.m., as always.
right at 2 p.m. Mountain Time.
Exactly.
Because that's how we're working this one.
Which is the dream, to go and live in a mountain and not come back.
I've missed the mountains a whole lot.
I love mountains.
Mountains are pretty good. How are you doing?
All right. Pretty good. I didn't drink last night because I didn't watch the DNC, but I did.
You made the
catch-
healthiest decision you
I
could have ever
made
made.
a healthy decision for myself. I didn't watch rich millionaires lie to me
Good.
about the future of the world.
I'm pretty proud of you on that one. You
Thanks.
know, well, I was going to say that I didn't also watch rich billionaires lie to me, but I watched, like, regular TV, which is kind of the same
It's
thing.
kind of the same
It's-
thing. you
It's
know?
just a different version of that, so I don't really. I
right.
guess that's really all the same.
That's true. It's just about which lies you want to hear.
Mhm.
I didn't feel like hearing. I don't know who spoke yesterday,
It
but
was. I have no clue. Yeah, I have no
uh,
earthly idea. Honestly, I think that if you've been on the
No,
show
right,
long
yeah.
enough, you'll just know. I don't really care, and I don't really care to care. You know what I mean?
Right. I forgot. Right. You had Warren's Sesame Street thing in the background, which is cool.
Oh.
If it was a
Interesting.
Sesame Street episode. Actually, Sesame Street's actually way ahead of that. Where are you at with that, Democrats? God, awful.
E. Heller 42 says same. Not drinking or watching the third way convention of Bull Sizzle.
Nice.
Third way convention of Bull Sizzle is.
Cool. Nice.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just painful. It's just it's not
Good.
fun.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't really see, and a lot of people in the comments here seem to be all echoing the same thing, that they haven't watched it. And why would you, honestly? It doesn't really seem, what it's going to be.
Yeah.
For lack of a better way to even say it, what it's going to be in the end.
I guess I'm just, what it is? It's that I used to watch this stuff. Like I watched 2016, 2012, 2008, 2004, 2000. I used to actually track this one of not only am I not, it's like I'm not even being passionate about not. It's just like, nah, it's just gonna.
You're just not.
I'm gonna watch some jerk like me just talk about it later, and I'm like, yeah, that's probably how it went.
I suppose that's
way
another way to do it. Some people want to do that.
Yeah.
I use when I'm trying to think. Oh, the other night actually, I think it was Monday night. I was over at your place and I watched Philip DeFranco, who I still haven't showed you. I can't believe that you haven't heard of him. Prominent newsy YouTuber. But I watched his sort of coverage of just sort of general coverage over Monday night stuff and the DNC, and that's kind of it. That and I guess whatever I see on Twitter in passing. I see a lot of people talking about, there's something about Obama that was kind of going around on Twitter. We can maybe get into that.
So he spoke yesterday, not today.
Yeah, but it was something else. I think it was some snippet from something. It might have been from yesterday, but it also might have been from just something else. That I'll have to find it for the lovely viewers. But before then, I want to talk about other things that are happening in the world.
Right. I'm just had a little plug to all you Kasich-loving Democratic boomers out there. I hope you're inspired. Steve Bannon got arrested. That's hilarious. Let's go there.
He's in the news.
Yeah, he was in the news. Our buddy.
Love
Steve.
that guy.
Yeah,
he's a really good dude, isn't he?
He's good at what he does, which is be a human sack of excrement. And he's great at it. He's the best. I don't think there's been better. But he's indicted on fraud charges alleged from fundraising schemes. I think the U.S. Attorney's statement's right below this headline. We can just read her statement to get the official skinny of what's going on. Of course, I'm sure there's Pizzagate's out to get. I'm sure there's tons of conspiracy theories about what's actually going on.
There's plenty of things happening that we could all point to, I think.
Yeah.
And also just Steve Bannon's a gross, sweaty, he's exactly what I imagine I would be if I also didn't have grow up with friends or a real understanding of the world, and then I just kind of got locked into a machine, right?
Yeah.
Because that's all that I think.
That
Steve
the
Bannon.
movie Biodome is loosely based off one of his insane projects.
That's really I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's who Steve Bannon was in the 90s. He was crazy racist that played with Goldman Sachs money to create space ideas for the future, driven by his racist ideology, which is why I have to announce it. It's how'd you come up with the space dome idea? Well, white genocide. You got to have a plan. It's okay. Well, that's okay.
Whoa there, guy.
Whoa.
Calm down.
That's a lot of money on that. But the state U.S. Attorney Audrey Strauss says, as alleged, the defendants defrauded hundreds of thousands of donors, capitalizing on their interest in funding a border wall to raise millions of dollars under the false pretense that all that money would be spent on construction, while repeatedly assuring donors that Brian Kolfage, the founder and public face of We Build the Wall, would not be paid a cent. The defendants secretly schemed to pass hundreds of thousands of dollars to Kolfage, which he used to fund his lavish lifestyle. We thank the USPIS for their partnership in investigating this case, and we remain dedicated to rooting out and persecuting fraud wherever we find it. They don't find it that often, I suppose. This was a good find.
Would that be the United States Postal Investigative Services?
That sounds cool.
United States Panty Investigative Services.
That's much better. Not all cops are bad, apparently. I guess. Well, these guys apparently do good work. Not all cops. I shouldn't say that.
I'm actually now.
You know what? I'm sorry. ACAP's the new thing. Sorry, guys. Sorry, USPS.
ACAP.
Let's face it. This was a dirty bust, but I'm supporting it anyway. I do it. I support dirty busts when the FBI do it sometimes. support it when CPD maybe. No, they actually haven't
Trying to
had a
think
good 30
whoever-
busts in a while.
This is
But-
another image of just from the release actually, which is Brian Colfidge, Steve Bannon, and 2 others alleged to have funneled hundreds of thousands of dollars from the organization to Colfidge. All 4 defendants allegedly profited from their roles in the scheme. You know what's really fascinating to me about all of this is not really even that, like, I always kind of thought that Steve Bannon would get got, right?
Get got?
I always thought that they would get him, like, really quickly.
Who would get him, you think?
I thought that Trump would throw him under the bus, like, pretty much immediately. I thought because he ran his campaign, and we talked about this, I think, on the show yesterday whenever Kira was talking about Russiagate stuff. Like, say what you will about Russiagate, I think that the important part about Russiagate wasn't really, like, necessarily, like, the actual Russia meddling in the election, right? The more interesting part for me was that, like, there were all of these different roles that surrounded the president that interacted with people who also interacted with Russia, but none of it was, like, direct, which is why it's a nothing burger. Russiagate's a nothing burger because no one directly interacted with anyone to get anything, right? And that intrigues me so much more than anything else because that's like Steve Bannon was out here doing the real legwork for what Trump thought was, like, for his own good, but really in the end what we're seeing here was just to line his own pockets, right, with money.
Honestly, I think that, this is why I'm interested in this story. I don't know what Trump's going to do. I bet you he does throw him under the bus.
It just makes the most
basically
sense.
says he was always human garbage. I needed him to win. He wants to inspire everyday, normal Breitbart reading
I want to say
Americans.
I feel like he already has thrown him under the bus in some ways.
He has, but I mean, like, here's the thing. Steve Bannon is a political operative.
Yeah.
He's smart about covering at least, the person that he's working for being happy and not stabbing him in the back. One of the things that Steve Bannon did as soon as Trump got into office was give himself the highest security clearance possible.
Fancy.
And he basically just took with them the most, which is probably why, there's a strong case if he's doing this kind of level of fraud, that he might get nailed to the wall because he has a head full of some of the most tantalizing U.S. secrets.
Yeah.
At the highest level, militarily too. I mean, he's going around the world on a white supremacist, fascist political operative spree.
I almost want to give the guy props.
I mean,
like,
that's
it's pretty impressive.
He believes in what he believes in. You
Yeah.
know, it does sow all of the hate and destruction that happens around, civil unrest in countries, but it lines his pockets. I know that he's tight with the Bolsonaro family down in Brazil after he was excommunicated from the Trump regime. Now, I guess, again, like he's being charged with wire fraud for basically being a middleman for this rich build the wall guy. And why? Like does Steve Bannon need the money? Like, it's really just because he needs those people that are donating to that wall effort riled up.
Like, what's Steve Bannon's vice? Is it gambling? Is it
Definitely drinking.
He seems definitely drinking.
Yeah,
he definitely looks like a guy
definitely
who is
drinking.
like just riddled with a lot of alcohol
I
all his life.
cautionary tale there for
Yeah, for sure. Don't drink too much. Don't drink to excess. Everything in moderation, folks. That's the real learning lesson here. That's why we brought up Steve Bannon. It's a cautionary tale about drinking.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
did pay Chicago a visit not that long ago. Did we have a little tab about that or something?
Yeah, we had a little tie-in to that. I actually
Yeah.
have to find it again. Steve
Or
Bannon,
if you're on the Twitter, actually, can you maybe it's more fun to bring out how the Onion portrayed his storied, if brief, career as were they all in the Trump administration. You had Spicy, you had the Mooch. You
I just,
had,
I can't even.
Bomber Boy Bannon.
Ooh,
I don't know, I need something better for
an
him.
interesting. 'Cause the Onion always just has very fascinating articles. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, yeah,
The Onion remembers Steve Bannon, Trump's most encrusted advisor.
he was.
And yeah, because he's gross. He's like a very gross-looking man. I want to just.
I think that's a little Photoshop, but not that far.
We're. Oh God, come on,
It's
dog.
not that far from the truth. I think the third one, the second one underneath one's pretty good. spends 10 minutes mistakenly addressing Steve Bannon's freshly shed exoskeleton. Be a much healthier process than what he really does. Steve Bannon slurps still twitching tail into the mouth before giving opinion on Syria. That was probably the more, a merciful thing came out of his mouth after speaking on Syria.
Hey, what's up, Mona Carmona?
Hello. Hey.
And everyone else. This is it. Jean, Karen M,
Hello,
Holly
Karen,
Horn,
Jean,
Algie,
Holly.
E. Heller, Ticabello's in here.
What's up, Al? Yeah, we didn't really. I'm not great at
it's-
doing the whole chat back and forth. That's why Gunner's been such a great wingman.
I just like to stare
All
at the
this.
chat sometimes and not really acknowledge you guys, but just know that I'm reading everything that you're saying. Steve Bannon is in the
Drive
dictionary
safe,
as the
Mona.
definition of gross, according to
Yes.
Gene, and I think that that's great.
Yeah.
You may
1 second. 1 second.
One
special.
second of special.
Drive
So, yeah,
safe. Yeah.
Steve
So
Bannon-
Steve Bannon,
Steve Bannon's a
inflamed liver, all around white supremacist operative, basically runs off of the anxiety of white genocide for multi-billionaires to invest in his ideas and rile up the pores for his cause, and of course your suburban middle-aged Republican voters.
This is like kind of a really good segue.
Nice segue.
It's a nice little segue into our next story, actually. Speaking of people
Do you have a
who
little
are
timer thing? 'Cause I.
encrusting on the I don't have a timer thing. Oh, I'll do it this time.
All right, look at us go.
So
Improv.
21:48.
Whoa!
The-
Wow, we spent a lot of time on that.
Speaking of people who, don't really seem to care all that much about the poor and are a little upset maybe at some people
Crafting a whole narrative to
Crafting a
weaponize the police
narrative.
state against people that they deem nuisances.
Yeah,
nuisances.
Lori Lightfoot,
Hey,
Chicago's
she got a fort. I
premier
heard she got a
mayor.
fort.
Yeah, she has. She's basically blocked off her entire block in Logan Square.
Yeah. Good neighborhood, Lincoln Square. Shout out.
And she has. This is from Block Club Chicago. Lightfoot gets threats every single day, she says, in defense of banning protests on her block. Quote, I'm not going to make any excuses for the fact that given the threats I've personally received, given the threats to my home and my family, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure they're protected. And if that means that she's going to use the full force of the Chicago police to just
Right.
completely barricade off her block and her home,
Yeah.
then she gonna do it. She gonna do what she gonna do.
I mean, Ed Burke got away with it, and that made him cool.
Yeah, he's just a super cool dude
Yeah.
who definitely never got in trouble or had any sort of bad negative appearance based off of that police presence.
Right, and create some kind of toxic relationship with police indefinitely for anything that they do and give cover for.
Man, I'm so frustrated with Lightfoot currently because she has
Whoa.
such a back and forth, right? Between like the police and between the protesters, between Trump, between the federal government in general, between Chicago.
Yep.
Right? Like she just has such a back and like more than it seems. I wasn't here during Rahm Emanuel's time, but it seems like she doesn't know which side to go to.
Yeah.
Right? Like she runs to one side
Right.
and she goes, "Oh, I need your help. I need
don't
your
disagree.
support."
Oh man, we're having this talk.
We're having the
Sorry,
but
Lori. I
then-
was gonna try to be more prepared, but I'm not prepared for anything in my life. So this is the best you're gonna get.
This is just like I
Yeah,
wasn't.
you don't have a
prepared for this
personality,
thing.
Lori, and it's hurting. It's hurting your leadership.
I just don't. I wasn't prepared to have this. Just immediately came to my head. I just don't really get it. Like I don't understand. I can understand like being. I can understand being a politician, right? Like I understand that as a politician, you need to sort of simp for one side in order to have the power that side has, so that you can get things done, right?
Yeah.
I understand that that's like necessary. It's a necessary evil in the
Google
system.
rules for rulers.
Yeah, rules for rulers, keys, key powers, key structure. Daniel, you would.
It
be
really
so
is good.
proud of
It's
me
such
right now.
good. Yeah. So key right now.
But what confuses me about Lightfoot right now is that it's like she, since the start of all of this, the virus.
Yeah.
I just had to think of the right way to say it. Since the start of the virus,
Right.
it's like she runs to one side and
Yeah.
says, "Oh, I need your support. I need these experts in this to do this." But
Yeah.
then she makes like a decision that completely affects the other side of it in a good way, usually, even though she like doubles back on the people she made promises to. And then George Floyd protest kicks off. Everyone, anarchy in the streets, gamers of the government, right? Everything's going wrong. And she
Dogs and cats living
dogs
together.
on the police, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then takes down dogs on the police. Then the police are like, "Hey, whoa, we need our mayor's support here if we're gonna do anything." So then she comes back to the police's side. Then she takes down the statue, the Columbus statue.
Yeah.
As if to say like, "Oh, I care about you protesters, but I don't." And then every time she gets on the news, she doesn't stand up for the protesters. She's definitely throwing them under the bus, but she's also not totally behind the police. Like, she's so in the middle, and it gives me anxiety.
Neoliberalism. Yeah, it gives you anxiety.
It gives me anxiety because
have a drink.
I don't know what she like wants.
Oh, she just wants
out
to
of
be in
this.
charge and flex with a stern face, which I'm sorry, like you're not gonna be able to do. You're not. Like, you know, Mayor Daley knew how to work neighborhoods differently against each other, and understandably know how to sit down and have a cup of coffee with community leaders and explain to them why they're going to be completely screwed over and how they're going to explain it to their community.
Yeah.
That was M. Daley. You know, you could say it was awful, it was racist, and it was gangster, but it kept things under a certain level of control. And I'm not, you know, like every new mayor has much different problems than any old mayor. So it's also a little unfair because she's living in one of the biggest, well, she's leading one of the biggest cities in America that, as we talked before, you know, all of the privatization, all of the new gimmicks and all of the new technology toys, she's primal focus for all of that energy, all of those people. Ronnie Emanuel was like, all 80s, greed is good, money is sexy. Yeah, privatization, baby. F those teachers. Look at how tough I am. Never come back to Chicago again, Rom. Never.
Know what this city
You know what? Or try to order a taco in Little Village. See how it goes for you.
You know what this city really needs, Rahm Emanuel said? It really needs for private industry to own the CTA. It needs it to own all of the parking in the city.
Right.
They
had no problem basically saying that the masses and the poorest were too stupid to know better.
Yeah.
Now, Lori Lightfoot is not trying to do that, but she's basically doing that by asserting that she's the expert. You know, I basically know how to administer the rule of law while the police are chaotic, and I do hate that she plays into, and local media helps her portray any mass of people in terms like they're vermin, like they're unnecessarily there, like they're there for childish, unreasonable reasons. And that's what gets people so frustrated that now and then they break a window when they should just be walking around calmly. I can relate to that. Not that I've broken a window, but
I have broken a window before, but it was not malicious.
Criminal.
It was just, it was just like, you know, sometimes you want to break a window. So I'm gonna do something.
I agree, E. Heller. Lightfoot is a reformer, but she is basically running on Rahm's third term. That's I don't
necessarily agree because it just doesn't. I feel like Rahm was so much more ingrained in the party than Lightfoot seems. Like it seems like Lightfoot spent a whole lot of time painting herself as not the ingrained candidate, right? That Rahm was.
Right.
And now it seems like all of what she's doing now is her attempt to claw her way back into it, to be like, hey, this is just what I had to do to win, but let me get back in your good graces. Whereas, like...
If I may. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, which is like Rahm just like, whenever he became mayor, we already knew kind of what he was. He was like, from the Obama administration, we kind of already had expectations of how that would go, I think.
Right. Yeah, E. Heller brings up a good point here. Like, did she reopen 50 schools? Did she reopen mental health facilities? She hasn't reformed those. I mean, she's a reformer in the sense that she came in basically bucking on against Ronnie Emanuel, against Ed Burke, against the way they do things, but at a very administrative level. At best, like it's not even as progressive as Elizabeth Warren and her nuance of administrative reform.
Yeah.
Of like now we have nicer words on like this banking bill or something, which is not unnecessary, but like also a bit weak.
Her attention to city here. I'm just gonna like throw this bad. Her attention to city road maintenance, potholes is just as bad as ROMs. I only agree with that now because I ride with you in your car. It's like which is the only time that I ever
witness
take a
our
car
roads
anywhere basically.
Yeah.
Is or if I like to, I don't know. It does seem like there's a lot of just. It seems like there's almost too much going on.
So that's the thing that ultimately what Mayor Daley had that Rahm didn't, and what Lori doesn't have at all, which could make her either a one-term mayor or she needs to, ponerse las pilas and figure out how she's gonna, what keys she actually needs to be the mayor that she would hope that she could be. And I don't even know if it's a good mayor for us to be completely honest, but she doesn't have a vast network in Chicago the way that Mayor Daley did. Like he had friends on the north side that all went to church together,
Right.
And that, all had aldermanic friends and, all ran for political office and stuff like that. But he had community in different communities. And those communities become your political operatives that do the free labor of just like, it could be as simple as not talking shit about you and softening someone's tone when they are talking shit about you. That is powerful in a city this size. We're only, 3.5 million? And all our jobs are pretty much controlled.
Only 3.5 million.
Only 3.5 million. I mean, like, you want to run democracy in a city in China like this, even New York City, L.A.,
Good luck.
Right. This city in Chicago, Ronnie Emanuel's his plan is still afoot, like to just clear the city of population and build up into a mega city for the very rich to come in an area that's going to not see the worst of the climate destruction this planet is in for, we hope. Seems that way,
Yeah.
Smartest, richest people seem to think so they want an investment without us. Lori Lightfoot doesn't have vast communities across the city. She's basically stuck in Logan Square. She's stuck by her lakefront liberals. That's why she's fortifying around her house. Because as CTU pointed out, Karen Lewis, president of CTU, she got death threats. She got death threats all the time. She didn't have police protecting her. Some of the people that were death threatening her were probably cops.
Most likely.
So,
oh man, where am I in this article? Going back to this article. One neighbor dubbed the street Fort Lori because it's so hard to get in and out, according to the Tribune. The Tribune noted Emmanuel did not guard his Ravenswood home from protests in the same way, but he also did not see the same level of protest when he was mayor because we were quiet and complacent.
During the Obama years.
Yeah, during the Obama years. That was because, we had such a good speaker as president, He speaks so good, I don't even have to pay attention to death outside.
He kept having such a smart way of explaining why things were going slow.
Yeah.
People aren't really falling for that
let me
as
tell
much.
you, I'm not as good as Kit, but let me tell you, change is slow coming, but we have the perseverance to get through it.
He always talked like he actually knew how he was going to do it. You never did it, bro. Like,
dude,
what the hell?
It's
like, I'm an expert in populism
Just
change. Like, from when?
We are the freest
That
nation.
one day? Sorry.
We are the freest nation that has ever existed, and I can say that because I'm drone striking the ever-living crap out of every other country in the world. It's and he could say things similar to that, and most people, a lot of liberals, right, could just kind of go about their day and be like, cool, yeah, we're being taken care of by. I love Obama for his speaking and I think that he had some very genuine, good-hearted nature into coming into being president, but I think being the president just turns you sign up to be a war criminal
pretty
anyways.
Much. Yeah.
But two, I don't think that Obama wasn't prepared, right, as a nation leader, right, as a nation builder coming into it, and he built out a cabinet of people who were a little bit more experienced in the arts of war, and he kind of just let them do what they were gonna do.
Yeah.
And then he would be the one to get up and have like a really fancy speech about how we're
doing it.
We're doing it. It's
doing
happening.
it, guys. It's great. Doing it.
Look at me. I'm the first African American president.
And he
And
was following up Bush, to be perfectly honest. So it's
Yeah.
like, oh, he doesn't seem capable. Well, yeah. Like, look at, dude. I grew up around everything. Like, how'd that go?
yeah,
You know. So I mean, like, yeah, like let's. It sucks, but it's like Obama. You know, I did, like I said, he was sincere in trying to deschedule cannabis to Schedule 2.
Oh,
And
I want to be clear, Mona. I don't think that Obama is like a quote unquote good guy. I think that there was genuine desire when he was running in 2008 that stemmed from an actual genuine desire from like decades before, whenever he was coming up, right?
Yeah.
But I know that Obama was like a lifelong politician. I understand
Yeah.
that he comes from like the same grifter nature that Trump came from, right? But just in
Yeah.
a different way, in a different avenue, in a different sector.
He wasn't born with
also-
all the rich shit that Trump had.
Yeah, but also like had Michelle
Yeah.
at his side, right? Who comes from Chicago, right?
Right.
Who comes from
And
being able to see a little bit more of a
Yeah.
privileged sort of Chicago, but still, like, if you live in Chicago, it's hard to live here and
Yeah.
not see the problems.
And also, bear in mind, we live in a post-first black president world. You
Yeah.
know, like, he's a ceiling breaker. He broke a glass ceiling. So did Hillary Clinton. So did Nancy Pelosi. And, you know, maybe we can say that. You know,
Miller says it was
he's birds of a
superficial.
feather.
That's what I mean by it. Is like I think that early on in Obama's life, I think he genuinely wanted to make great changes in the world.
I
think
mean,
that most every politician wants to.
I saw him check out his last term,
Yeah.
like, completely. But
Mhm.
I did see him sincerely fight for those nuanced changes. The cannabis thing was always one that I thought was a really important one. The conversation for the whole why cannabis should remain illegal and really there's no medical or scientific basis, it's all social, was basically just put out there in the open during his administration because of those administrative, like, little tic-tac fights. But you're not wrong. Essentially, he took the Cheney people that were not in the crapper and put them in charge of the war, and they went back to listening to whatever the Cheney people that were in the crapper were doing.
Yeah.
And then it was basically the finance people that saw the recession coming and needed someone in their pocket to bail them out that rigged it all for Obama to win the primary and then the presidency.
And it like
He won necessarily because he's a capitalist true believer.
And I think, like, I mean, just to, like, really sell the point that, like, I'm not like an Obama worshiper in any ways. I was in 2008, but I also was.
Yeah, he could have rescheduled it. You're right, Heller.
I was 13 in 2008, so like I had a very idealistic view of what politics actually was, and Obama was like, you know, the candidate for hope and change in my like very Republican world, where I hated George Bush because I hated the war on terror, and Obama was the one who came in and said that he was going to pull us out of the war.
Yeah.
I was, you know, like me as a 13-year-old was like, cool, heck yeah, right?
Yeah.
And it made me feel even more emboldened because everyone in my family was like, I hate that guy, and they were racist. They had racist intentions for why they didn't like him, and so I felt like the natural like good guy in that argument of like, I'm not racist. I feel like we need change like that in the country. Obama's running on all of this stuff. I'm just idealistic and young enough and naive enough to be like, yeah, that'll happen. That'll definitely happen. So, of course, and I didn't vote, obviously. I wasn't old enough. But if I could have, I would have voted for Obama, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
And I think that was, I don't think that I would regret it now if I were in that situation either.
Ooh, fun is that. Sorry, chat.
But,
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, like,
yeah.
2008 was an awesome year because it was as good of a denouncement of the Bush administration and the war on terror as the public ever really got. You know, that's
like,
what Obama was like. And that's really what won him over Hillary. He was running a bit more hawkish than Hillary Clinton was because he wanted to impress military people that didn't want to pull out of the war, but just his presence, his oratory. He had good
just-
charm. He knew what he was doing. He had a lot of help, and
A lot of help.
Yeah, a lot of help. And you know, ultimately, like I said, political campaigns, politicians are just tools, you know, and they're tools that are leveraged against the people most often. You have to work really hard to leverage them against their against corporate interests. It's nice when you start at a good place with some progressive or leftist, you know.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they are going to be a tool of the system.
Which is unfortunate.
You know, like, but
Speaking of Obama, though,
yeah. Oh, sorry. We should be moving on.
we are
Timestamp.
moving on because we're talking about Berto Guayo.
Yeah. Well, we were gonna be. I forgot why the hell we were gonna talk about that.
We had it was just a real brief.
All right. Like Lori Lightfoot gave him money.
Yeah.
She's giving Jamal Green money, another activist. Berto Guayo there with Obama.
Just can you just give me, because I'm not super familiar. Just
Berto
give me,
Guayo was a guest on Fear, Loathing in the Windy City at one point. I haven't had too many guests, so like I like to be a little, just soft touch with people that gave me their time and inform me about what's going on in the city. But when we're talking about career politicians like Obama, I mean, you could say that people could say this about Berto Guayo, and but I disagree. But you see what the game does to someone. Berto Guayo ran in 2015. He had a very grassroots-led campaign. 2015. 2019. He's still active in the neighborhood, and of course, he's on constant attack. That he's just kind of doing this for social media blitz and to run again. That does suck. That like this is politics. This is like name building, and we talked about the ego that goes into politics. But at the end of the day, like campaigns are about the only marketing that you can get for what you want government to be. And I do support that Berto is coming from a grassroots, urban, organizer perspective of empowering all community members. Obama ran on hope and change and about the possibilities of our dreams. Of course, he was just realizing his dream. He was just like, yeah, that's nice that you guys all believe in stuff too. And
right, but this is really about me.
But the unmet promise of that campaign, I think, really did inspire Occupy, and the clashback of like, yo, you just bailed out all the banks, and we're all hurting. Our parents are actively losing everything. Same thing with Bernie Sanders running in 2016, inspired the progressive movement to take care of Congress, which would inspire the runs in 2018. They got us the few congressional members that run without any corporate money whatsoever. That really set up the stage for 2020. Now the basically the oligarchy has struck back. You know, whoever wins in November, they win, which is why it's like we don't have as much of a stake in it. But I don't want people to give up on the game, because if it's just their game, it's that much easier to take away without anyone noticing.
Yeah.
If we're all participating in it and then they take it away, that's when America's famous love of all of its guns that we don't even really make. We buy so many foreign guns, buy American. Might be handy, you know? But until then, you're going to keep getting the Lori Lightfoots talking out of their both mouths, gaslighting police and giving them the policies they want, talking, defending, young Chicagoans on national news while actively participating in their subjugation and beatings. Oof. So.
I'm gonna go back to the chat here. Mona's talking about how she supported Obama in 2008. She was older than me. I was 24 and I was totally a neo-lib. I had my Obama as my homeboy shirt. Ecuadorian Taco, how's it going? That's always the swoop factor. Obama, Bernie, didn't lead the substance. As a fellow, never know when the last time you will eat. I mean, vote. That's interesting. E. Heller, The Onion, just posted another Bannon tweet. Officers exposed to Steve Bannon during arrest scream as blistered skin begins sloughing off. That's good. I almost want to say that that's just E. Heller. I'm not gonna go look it up though, because I'll just give him credit for that since he typed it in the chat.
Nice, thanks, E. Heller.
I don't know. I I'm not gonna simp for Obama or any candidate at this point now. Even Bernie, right? Like I wanted Bernie to win so much, but I also knew in the back of my head that it was a bit of a pipe dream.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really. I don't necessarily think it was even about winning for Bernie this time either. I think it was literally just about carrying that idea that he did in 2016.
Yeah.
Because he knew that he needed to. One, it's good to try, right?
Yeah.
If at first you don't succeed, try again.
Right.
But two, I mean, the simple fact that he came off as a force that couldn't have been beaten, right? You can maybe beat me. You can take away my votes in 2016. You can completely discredit me. I'll just come back with a bigger army.
Yeah.
Right? That's completely self-funded by small dollar donations. That's completely rips apart the model that the DNC wants to put up, right?
Yeah.
I think that idea is something that needs to be carried on further, and I think that perhaps maybe that was the biggest reason why Bernie ran again. Is on that.
I don't disagree.
I don't
with
know
any of that. I will say this about simping for Obama. I did a lot of it during his damn tenure. A lot of it. And a lot of it had to do, I talked to you about growing up with message boards. And at 17, like, internet message boards being one of the rawest and most honest place to discuss the war on terror, the Iraq war, me being kind of like an inner city school kid.
Right.
That's where I got to talk about these things. Basically was on message boards from 2003 till now. And the cultural war movement, conservative culture movement is not something that's ingrained in my head as something to fight against, arbitrarily or out of this year. I saw it as the driving force of what was making the war on terror an ideological war that would be never ending. And that's what I grappled with, during the Bush years. So when Obama came, I saw him gaslighting the public into him being a war hawk and all this. I didn't care. I loved how crazy he was making the neocons. Basically how people wanted to own the libs with Trump. That was Obama for me. It was just like, you jerks, we're taking this away from you.
Right.
And there was a lot of Monday night quarterbacking during Obama's term of how to be a better imperialist, how to be more conservative, how to be more adherent to true America. And I simped a lot to push back against that. And I'm not sorry, anybody who argue with me that thinks, are you sorry now? I'm not. Go to hell. You were wrong. But Obama now obviously is all in and openly saying, I have to defend the Bush dynasty. They're more American than me. If I don't do that, I'm in the crapper. Trump is running against all that. That's why it's populism and it's dangerous. Oh, no. Obama pretty much just dropping the whole public persona that he tried to live up to, and just being this Pete Buttigieg kind of, politician. Like I said, if he had just ended up being a mayor instead of a president, he probably wouldn't have done better than de Blasio. But I think he had some decent intentions.
Just going to the chat. E. Heller, before social media, we got most of our information from corporate media. It was much easier for them to gaslight everyone. Yeah,
true.
Which is, I think, why 2008 was so strange.
Yeah.
Maybe because it was really the first time that Twitter and all of social media was used as that mechanism.
I was getting most of my news from the internet in 2008, and that was extremely rare.
Yeah.
That was extremely rare. Reddit was still it's so underground. Have you heard about Reddit? It's but
And then there were other people who were like, I'm on 4chan. It's like, get away from me.
What? Yo, bro, okay. Wash your hands.
Yeah, wash your hands, please.
Yeah. You're right. And actually, that's really why ultimately, we're just talking a little bit too much about Obama now, but his failure to really create an independent path that came from his vision for how to deal with Assange and how to deal with Snowden. I think poor Chelsea Manning, because of the situation she was in, already enlisted and everything, I don't think that could have been carried out in any different of a way, but he let Biden trap Snowden in Russia, He let the Clintons, apparatus just go to town on Assange and WikiLeaks.
Yeah.
and he was lending his mind and thoughts and abilities to those ends that he kind of walks away from taking ownership of. And if he had taken ownership of them in any capacity, maybe if it had gone different, or at least he can speak intelligently about and honestly about what's going on with them now. But he can't. So he's stuck being a corporate media time person. He's stuck in that time.
Sad.
Sad.
But a cool way to leave it off. So
yeah,
we're going to bring it back to Chicago. I mean, Obama is sort of like a former Chicago.
I wonder if he's going to take up painting like Bush. I don't know. He needs a hobby. He's not very interesting on his own.
Yeah, what is he going to? I
He
mean,
doesn't do anything. He like hangs out with billionaires and like hangs out on their yachts.
Yeah, it's like, well, I mean, he probably goes and crashes his daughter's time at college, or maybe not now. I guess they're doing online learning, perhaps.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably doing whatever. Anyways, yeah, I don't really.
Sorry. You know, I grew up in the city where he was like somewhere people would be like. Blah, blah, blah.
I mean, I wonder when he's gonna come back to his house. I didn't grow up. I lived down the street from his house in Chicago in Hyde Park for a while, and I mean, he should like either move back to his house or sell it and just open that street back up because it's kind of just hanging out, just doing whatever. No one can go
over
on
there,
it, and it's
Fort
whatever.
Lightfoot. You know, these petty games that you power players in Chicago play. God.
Yeah, it's kind of whatever.
God.
Presidents never prosecute each other, though. Yeah.
Right.
I'm so, man. You hear all these stories about Obama being, like, so upset at Trump, right? Like, in the background. It's like, rumors are that Obama's cursing at Trump because of whatever. And it's like, dude, do something about it, right?
Like, you know.
Quit cursing about it. You literally used to be the most powerful man in the universe. You still kind of are the most powerful man in the universe via like, you know, intermediary connections, right?
Yeah.
Do something about it, you idiot.
I mean,
and do
I guess he is. He made Joe Biden the nominee.
I guess. Never mind.
What a tough guy, Obama. You made
please,
Joe
please go,
the nominee.
Please go do nothing because actually you're making it
You're
worse.
a scary guy.
All right, speaking of Chicago,
All right.
let's bring it back around to community policing.
Right, yeah. Chicago tough guys.
Is expanding on the south and west sides. This is what policing is and should be. Article from Block Club Chicago, which it's actually turning into like my favorite place to come and get news. Actually, I like the way that they I like what they talk about. I like the variety of things that they talk about. But we talked
hear
about
that,
community
Tribune?
policing. Sorry. Yeah, hey Chicago Tribune, you suck.
Yeah. Really good quality articles.
What was I saying?
Right, yeah. So these police departments expanding to neighborhood policing programs to 3 more parts of Chicago.
I was talking about how like I actually grew up in a place that did a lot more community policing. Community policing is like a pretty actually big part of county and local police stations in Arkansas. In like at least the Arkansas that I grew up and lived and worked around, right? So like this is I see like a pretty big benefit to this, right? And especially the south and west sides, I feel like do kind of need some form of different policing, right? They need a different, they don't need the oppressive racist policing that we keep seeing time and time again, right? Like so there definitely needs to be a change. I think everyone can acknowledge that. But what is the best method, I guess? Is community policing it?
I mean, the thing is that we've had, and I mentioned this, like we've always had the answers for some of the worst problems that we've had. Some of the worst problems that we've had, we've created, and people have studied and looked into them. Civilian-led policing is, you know, an organization that started back in 2015. 2016 created a model that so many good policies kind of mirror, if not necessarily if they're not lifted from there. But like CPAC is a response. But community-led policing, like what you're describing at the county level in Arkansas, kind of what they're repeating here on the west and south side of Chicago, is not too different from the CAPS meeting push that we saw in the 90s, where almost every other church and community center had like weekend meetings for community members to come and meet police sergeants, talk about what's going on in the community, talk about concerns, things that they saw in the news. It was honestly that time of community building was one of the more violent times in Chicago's history. Also, one of the times where there was more cohesion in with the police and neighborhoods, which leads to my suspicion about the police and all the conspiracy theories. But we could have always done this. We took this away from communities after the War on Terror, when every community was conceivably potentially full of terrorists.
Right.
You know, so you don't want to build community with those communities anymore. Now you want to go back to treating them like an objective threat.
Mm-hmm.
And we can go right back to that, you know. So this is the nice development that comes from the establishment. This is the establishment's form of police reform. It's really just taking a half step back to things that they were doing before the War on Terror without really giving any concessions from all the power that they got for themselves after the War on Terror.
Good. E. Heller said that there was a video in the Discord that was about this. Yeah, and also Anthony Reyes. There are subways, both light rail and sandwich shops, E. Heller says. But yeah, there are subways. There's a subway that the red line goes into a subway, the blue line goes into a subway. I'm trying to think. I think that's it.
Just the red and blue.
Just the red and blue. Yeah. So it's like the subways go into like the main heart of the city, and that's basically it. Everywhere else is kind of like an outside platform.
Yeah, that's a raised platform.
Yeah.
The pink line, you know, you're gonna get some like what we have here with the brown line on Kimball, where it's at the ground level, and they have to do little things when the train passes by.
Yeah.
You get some of that on the pink line and on the brown line, and I don't think on the green though.
The subways are
Definitely not the
I
purple.
was gonna say like the ones in my area are disgusting, says Anthony. The I don't know. It's kind of like it depends on where you are. I think whenever I lived in the South Loop, I was right next to the. I was about to say Belmont, but that's where I am. But I was right next to like the blue and red line like juncture, right, where you could get on either. You can do that in a lot of places, but I was like right in the middle. My brain is taking a massive poop right now, but
Live,
right?
Yeah.
But that area, it was always disgusting to
Yeah.
go down into the subway.
right?
But if you were to go a little bit further north, but not like into River North, but not out of the downtown area, all of those subways were pretty genuinely clean, because it's like there are less homeless people. I'm just going to be real. I think that there are less homeless people who live in the River North section as opposed to the South Loop section.
Oh, well, that's because they get policed less.
Yeah.
on River North.
So there's always like a real stark difference I always saw of like going on the subway to
Yeah.
go between places there. But there's this video that Edward Heller
Great.
has given us in the Discord about this very thing.
Good afternoon. This expansion means that it'll go from just 2 police districts to 5, that will start seeing these specialized officers walking that beat. Now, these officers not only will work a beat, but a certain geographic area to try and connect with people. They're called district coordination officers, and they'll be handing out business cards, giving people their cell phone numbers as well as their email addresses, and being that community's direct contact when police may be needed, but it may not be an emergency. In the 25th district, where the program started a year ago, calls to 911 saw a significant drop. The department says this initiative works to solve some smaller issues, which in turn builds trust with the community to try and keep situations from turning violent. Now, this comes, of course, as close to 20 people were shot
so this was
overnight.
literally an
And while
Obama
it may
idea.
take some time,
So
the
this seems
police
like a great
superintendent
idea.
believes this
Like, let's hate
program
all of white
will help
America for
Chicago
telling them it was a
deal
terrible
with its
idea
violence.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Community members who are engaged and feel safe working with the police provide the best opportunity to reduce violence.
Not true either.
Now,
Not
this
a bad
expansion
thing, but you know, it's not the most that you could be doing. You know this. These are. I'm sorry. I'm not.
No, go in.
I mean,
I
feel like it's more like your show now. But
no,
like,
bring it. No, bring it.
I just
so,
like, you know, because
I'm
this is like, you know, I don't want to swear. It's just like,
Thank you, Ecuadorian Taco, for the $10. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Obama. It's just like, God. Biden's basically running on like, I'm going to be a white Obama term. You're going to get soft crap like this. Say thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not good enough. And the thing is that all Obama did was propose soft stuff like this. And it still like got shut down.
Right.
And now it's going to be like, I don't know. I mean, like it's like the libs might win because they're going to gaslight all the Trump red hat, like rich people living in Trump Tower of like, well, yeah, that's what they need to be doing, you know, like, but, you know, like one of the federal agents with shotguns are going to be coming around or something. Like
Yeah, Edward Heller, this is why I linked it, because I want to hear Jose's take on the propaganda.
Thanks, E. Heller. Now, please send us more stuff for me to react
always
to.
looking out for number one over here.
It's like Trump Tower is literally in the middle of the moat that like Lori Lightfoot races the bridges for. Like, who do we work for in this city? Like, it doesn't matter where Trump wins or not. Like that, all those damn people get what they want. Like, I'm not gonna clean this. Like I said before, like I was sipping for Obama, and I'm not sorry. Like everyone that I argued with can go to hell. Let me rephrase that. Everyone that I argued with, to the right of me, to the left of me, you were right. I'm sorry. That's why I'm pledging my soul to this cause and the rest of my time on this earth. Hopefully, it's not that long. But like, the rich in the city get away with like making a social habit of like denying policy. It's like a bad mix between Seinfeld and Arrested Development, you know, like in a Veep setting, with teenagers constantly dying in the background and all around them, and countries getting blown up overseas, and them just being like, oh, I guess that's what happens. You know?
Ooh,
when's brunch? And it's it inspires emotions in me sometimes. That's all. It's just.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of what just transpired
All
here.
Right.
And I think that you're right. I don't disagree. I think that
like Obama
Algie
always worked for those rich white people, I guess is my point.
Algie says it's a step in the right direction. Just need to do it in a whole new system. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
we had a segue to CPAC, right?
We did have a segue to CPAC.
Yeah. And I hope you're nailing these timestamps because I'm totally lost on what we talked we were gonna do.
I tell you what I'm not doing. It's nailing these times. No, I am. But
yeah. And be sure to stick around for Lainey Peterson's what you call Civically Minded. There's great. She does a much more community focused, news story focused takes. Also, Kira McCowan had her show Corporations Behaving Badly earlier today, where you can learn a lot. I learned a lot about the nuance of what's going on with the post office. It's basically like making Betsy DeVos like the head of the education, but then like she went nuts and made money off of it right away.
Right.
But
she's
been pretty slow about it.
That was we got another super chat.
Oh, hello.
Mona donated $5. Could Jose be any more perfect?
I could maybe be effective at something, but I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm trying to work on that. I appreciate you, Mona, though. Thank you, man. Why do it's like the nicest compliment, but like I have a better dunk.
Take yourself. You're taking yourself down too many pegs.
I grew up in this city.
All right, fair enough. CPAC,
which is
baby.
why I get to talk smack, but I think
CPAC,
baby. Go ahead.
What is it?
Okay.
That's all.
Good job. Winning a Civilian Police Accountability Council, CPAC. Alongside members of Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression, who have been leading the fight for real police accountability in Chicago, Chicago DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, is having a strategy meeting to help with Civilian Police Accountability Council, CPAC. We will discuss how to counter weaker alternatives that have been put forward, why CPAC is important to advocate for, and next steps for Chicago DSA in this fight. Please RSVP. I can't make it. But,
RSVP for 2 days ago.
Yes.
Oh, wait, no, this is 2019.
Okay.
Either ways, though, CPAC is still happening.
It's still a fight of the Democratic Socialists of America. They keep trying to expand the tent of this fight, as they point out. Other older Chicago organizations have been at this fight. But I thought we do a segue from police accountability, like corporate media, establishment, cops, reform, dunked on Obama a little bit. Thought we'd spend more time on Lori. She doesn't have like.
Oh, you want to go back to Lori?
No.
We can go back to. She's in the background of this picture. Of the CPS schools.
She's so memeable. Like, go back in the house.
She's got a
go
great.
Back in the house.
Let me tell you something. Whenever when the stuff started.
Yeah.
Right.
Scary stuff outside. Yeah.
When all that scary stuff started happening outside, and I that was around the time that I got on the Tinders, just to like look for people to talk to. So many people meme Lori Lightfoot, like in their Tinder profiles.
Whoa.
And it's great. And I am so on board with it.
Swipe left on that one. Yeah, like I didn't even talk to anyone on Tinder. All
yeah,
right, but like
I don't even really. I guess we can just sort of like flow into
but
this.
I wanted to talk a little bit about Rose Twitter too. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, so jumping all over the place.
We are jumping
but
all over
I'm
the place,
glad
but
we
it's
brought
fine.
up the Lori Lightfoot memes because that is what this whole memeing fight is about. Like, we have the streets and we have the organizing, but there's a constant social media presence we have to keep up. And the establishment pushes back with Lori Lightfoot memes. And I feel like she's just pines to go back to those days where, like, the media does her work for her. Her public relations work for her, which is always the power the media has.
Oh, here's the real. There's the info, yeah?
What?
Sometimes I remember that 12% of the city council in Chicago, which is the third largest city in America, are DSA members. And I gasp.
Right.
Which is also on, like, I didn't know about this until we started the show. I didn't know that there's six aldermen?
6 aldermen that are card-carrying DSA members, I understand. You have
That's
Carlos
impressive.
Rosa in the 35th Ward, Rosanna Rodriguez, 33rd, Andre Vasquez in the 40th, Daniel Espadas in the 1st, Byron Cincho Lopez in 25th, and
Click on this link that they've
20th
handily
Ward.
provided
Oh
me.
my God, what you call it? It's Taylor. Oh my God.
Oh, this is just a thank you. This email will be delivered to 9 recipients. Alderman Carlos Ramirez Rosa, Alderman Michael D. Rodriguez, Alderman Jeanette B. Taylor,
Sorry,
Alderman Matt Martin,
been out of the month.
Daniel Laspata, Rosana Rodriguez Sanchez, Andre Vasquez, Byron Lopez. I know that's a name that you don't want to. We'll just breeze past it. And Maria Haddon. Those are all of the people at least in this thank you letter. It's like a link to go to a thank you letter to thank all of these people for voting against something, and then presumably they're all DSA. Is what I'm assuming. Presumably.
So I mean that's 6 socialist aldermen in the city council of 50.
Yeah.
And there's already a progressive caucus. Can you bring up who is in the progressive caucus?
I can, yeah. Or at least I can attempt
And
to
because
Google.
all those people that you mentioned are not DSA members. Like Matt Martin, I don't think is a DSA member. You should join.
What stops them from doing that, you think?
The word socialist.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think Maria Haddon has a pretty good nuanced take of like.
What a scary word.
Yeah. Also, I mean, like it's just another organization in Chicago. I mean, I was glad to be a member of DSA after 2016. I didn't really get active till 2017. This is all of the Progressive Caucus, so it includes all the DSA members and others. So like these are people that would ostensibly, hopefully, be voting in favor of CPAC, right?
Mm-hmm.
And causes like that. And of course, they are ultimately beholden to the politically active constituents in their wards, which would include people who have small businesses and people that own property and the like. So it's not easy to be necessarily socialist or progressive in Chicago.
Is it fair to assume that most of these aldermen are probably dealing with a lot of the like regular protesters, the people who are staying for longer periods of time than others? Would a lot of these aldermen be dealing with those people, or?
Rosanna Rodriguez was an organizer before she took out. And 2019 was when she won. She was able to unseat a dynasty. Man, I'm blanking on Chicago stuff names right now. Deb Mel.
I'm just
yeah.
sort of like scrolling.
Daniel Espada as well. Totally forgot that dude's name. He was a big deal too. First Ward. Byron Cinto Lopez was able to win in 25th Ward. Danny Solis, who was the alderman there, was caught up in the corruption scandal. The FBI caught him on wire. Basically, I forgot what he was doing on his part. I think the Chinatown parking lot was what got him overtly in the can for with the FBI, and then he wore a wire for them to take down Ed Burke, who is still serving as alderman in city council. So that's
Neat.
fun. That's neat. But
That's
now
cool.
Michael Madigan's in a lot more trouble, and I'm guessing it's because Ed Burke tactfully shared enough to get himself out of trouble.
So yeah, that's
That's what we're working with here in Chicago. And you know why I wanted to like talk about all that is like you have Lori Lightfoot, one figure at the top of the pyramid, basically without a spread. What is that? Hello.
Mona donated $5. Let me rephrase. Jose couldn't be more perfect.
Oh,
Thank you, Mona. Thank you,
that's
Mona, for the
far
for
too
the
kind.
$5
Thank you
more
for all that you're doing to help Heartlands Media. Rose Twitter. Can we talk about Rose Twitter? How do you feel about Rose Twitter? Everyone hates him. I was part of Rose Twitter. I don't really rock the Rose anymore for lots of reasons, but
I don't have too many like strong opinions about Rose Twitter. I just know that
I stand my time with the Roses.
I briefly dated a girl who
Right.
made it a very big, important factor that
Dated a-
she not be associated with DSA or Rose Twitter or even anything like that because of her work in the PSL.
PSL. Go more into that, please.
Well,
yeah.
I'm very interested.
All your private life right now, please, Gunnar.
Yeah, can we just sort of
Public
divulge
wants to know.
all of So, I mean, I'm sure that a lot of you people out there know what PSL anyways, but it's a party for socialism and liberation.
What?
They actually have a candidate right now. What's her name? Maria La Riva, I think.
What?
Gloria La Riva. Sorry about that. She is currently running as a PSL candidate for president.
Hey. Oh, snaps. Why didn't you get her on the show?
I have. That's a good question. I don't even know. I'm trying to pull up her website right now. I'm sorry,
No.
but this girl, like, her and I had a lot of really interesting conversations about like Marxism and socialism, the differences, the similarities, like why it's important. Her biggest belief, and it's something that I'm still kind of trying to like beat into my own brain just because I have a lot of willful optimism about things that I feel like maybe it's a little bit too late to have willful optimism about.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things was just that like you can't fight the system from inside the system is built to ingest revolutionaries and spit them back out as corporate neolibs.
Yeah,
right?
you can't go inside the system as a revolutionary. You can go inside as a cancer, though.
Yeah, and
always
it's
been
and so that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really like the main point. I don't have strong opinions about them either way. I think that it's good that there are just I think anyone who is willing to put in the effort to do any amount of good in the world, right, is generally okay with me in my book, right? Can't stand up for everything that they believe in. I also don't really know entirely how I feel about riding the line of like, can you work within the system? Can the system do good for people? Or do we need to just completely trash it, start over again, build a whole different thing, which is like a whole different can of worms, right?
So
I don't know.
DSA is really just a big tent to have all of those discussions. I was part of the group that really pushed for electoralism as something that DSA should be doing. So if it's like, wow, you're really pushing the system, yeah, like you can hold me responsible, you can line me up to the wall, I'll die spit in your face. But like originally, they just wanted two candidates. They, Daniel Carlos Rosa was already in there, and he was going to help Rosanna Rodriguez. I was really trying to work so that we had as many candidates be endorsed as possible, because I just wanted the marketing campaign for socialism for the left in this city. And a lot of people had a lot of different takes, but that was not. That wasn't my take. Was one that was shared, obviously, with people that ended up moving in this direction. I shared this with others. DSA is a force of good, and it is a place where exactly what you're talking about, how much of our energy should be focused out of electoral politics and out of the existing system. You have so many. One of the things that I would say about DSA is that it has way too many academics in it. Too many college kids are fresh out of college that are running high on the beauty of their ideas. Which is great.
And like the whole.
Yeah.
Do you believe that there's like a real genuine issue with what is it called? Whenever I want to say whitewashing, but that's not really like the right.
That's a little rough.
I mean, I guess whitewashing actually is a pretty genuine term to use for it. Like higher education thoughts, you know what I mean? It's like people come out of college as like political thought leaders,
right?
And they try and use big words,
right,
to talk
you?
down on people, to co-opt you, to get you to buy into something, and then at the end of it, it's like, oh, okay, you're just some other hack who has big words.
Yeah, that's not DSA. I will say that.
Okay.
I will, which is why I had to go a little bit to bat for them. That's not DSA. That's Warren Democrats. And if anything really happened out of this, is differentiate the people that were apprehensive of DSA as a vehicle to work and empower and put the most vulnerable communities dealing with those issues at the forefront of those issues with their solutions. That is still DSA, and I'm glad and proud that they stuck to that. Warren Democrats, I think, evolved out of the academics that saw DSA, saw the energy of the left, saw progressivism, and did exactly what you described. Be the expert grass tops that are like, okay, I'm going to help you funnel this into a rational way so that it's functional within the system. Whereas DSA is like, it's not us capitulating to the system and how it works that's important. It's the injustice that this group and this issue is at hand, and how the answer is to rectify it, not being given airtime. That's the issue. That's DSA.
Yeah.
Aloha
fighting
gang,
for the betterment
gang.
of the proletariat.
Yeah, everybody.
Big words.
Yeah.
I just Googled that word because I know that it's a word, but I didn't know what it meant, and it's just funny that it's often used in reference with Marxism. Neat. Proletariat.
That's us. Yeah.
Hey, what's good? My name is Proletariat. I don't even know. Do we have any? We're really heavy on time here. I don't really think that we need to go through like the rest. I mean, like.
We had just a few more. Can we just like
briefly? Which maybe we should have talked about this with Rom a little bit, but we were talking about Airbnbs.
Oh right, yeah. Well, the privatization scheme. Right, we had planned to talk about this with Rom.
Yeah, but I didn't think about it until
we even had the tabs in order.
Well, apparently I didn't have that tab in order with whatever, but
I need to tighten up how. Well, okay. Also, news. Next week's the last week of Fear and Loathing in the Windy City, so like I don't need to tighten up the show. It's gonna die. Well, we'll be moving to Sundays, and hopefully
it's gonna be changing. Sort of format.
You get 2 more episodes of this meandering mess that me and Gunnar do that I enjoy very much.
Mona,
and I really appreciate all you guys that enjoy it with us. But I know that it is what it is.
Mona, is your daughter's middle name literally Proletariat? Because that's interesting.
Awesome, that's awesome, Mona.
That's very interesting. I'm very intrigued by this. Anyways,
Airbnb might it's banning parties. That's really going to hurt their bottom line.
Especially in the South Loop.
In the South Loop in Chicago, a lot of these places are Airbnb around downtown, which makes for a great vacation. No house parties though.
Basically, there's the South Loop is, as we've established, downtown. It's like the heart of downtown, right? Yeah. And it's some of the fanciest high rises, right, that you could rent. Probably you can find in the South Loop and in that area.
So here, one of the reasons to bring this up, Obama bailed out the banks immediately in 2008. Bush had already done a bailout. Obama did another bailout, and then I think he did something else that also sucked. Like TARP or something. Trump did a bailout, he's done a few, but trillions, and nothing for us, right? But now,
kind of.
Navy Pier is shutting down. Airbnb can't host parties. That's going to take a hit. And we saw in another news, like CTA Metro also want basically federal funds. The bailouts are still necessary, and basically Trump is going to gaslight. I don't know if he's going to be able to work on like I can gaslight you into begging me for these bailouts, or he might be the jerk that like over generously gives to one area to make everyone salty. He's just that kind of toxic, drunken relative that does that kind of crap.
Yeah.
Biden, Obama, Hillary, Hilldog, all these, they're trying to consolidate the amount of people that are going to get bailed out by Biden administration with a little help. That's what I see when I see things like that happening. But that's...
Mona is dropping a lot of pretty good jokes in the chat about how her daughter's middle name is Obama because she was a neolib back then. Also, her name is Bailout. So your daughter's name is... What's your daughter's first name? First name, Obama Bailout Drone Carmona. That's
Obama
pretty good name.
Bailout Drone.
Because of all of that. Pretty good. Kate's in the chat. What's up, Kate?
Sorry.
It's really good to see
you.
You.
Could probably do something fun with that Obama Bailout
Kate.
Drone. Not fun, but like artistic.
Kate, hi. Hi, Kate. Hi. Kate, hi. Anyways, so
we had.
Airbnb.
Can we talk about this?
The
homeless guy thing? Yeah. I'm sorry. That bugs me. I grew up in the city. That bugs me.
So in...
Sorry.
I don't know why I'm giggling. I'm giggling because it's sad and it makes
it's
me
rough.
uncomfortable.
Sorry.
The Chicago police are searching for a suspect after 4 homeless men are stabbed, one fatally in separate CTA attacks.
Yeah.
This is just a general like community alert, right? Like if you're in the Chicago area, but also it's to bring light to some pretty nasty stuff that just happens, right?
I've worked with homeless folk in Chicago, especially like Tent City folks that like are right next to like right there on Roosevelt and Jefferson by the Taylor exit on the Kennedy. They're always under attack. It's and there have been knife killings in that homeless shelter right on Canal that don't get necessarily reported as murders because they can't prove anything, and who's going to want an investigation? The fact that it took 4 consistent deaths like this for people to pick up is frightening, and I just, heart goes out to the homeless community and like how much they're under attack in the city, how they're corralled and used, moved around by tourism needs. It's awful. So I wanted to give a little airtime out there and to remind people on the show, like we're talking about Chicago. We have fun with it, but it's still the city.
It's still there's still fear and loathing.
There's still fear and loathing
in the Windy City.
I think we had something that we wanted to end it on besides that. And let's just
it sounds less cool since we're talking about going from like Airbnb to stabbing to. We were talking about the Chicago Red Eye. That was a thing. It's just in general. It's a magazine.
No, wait, the Chicagoist.
And then the Chicagoist. This happened like a year ago, I want to say.
Right.
Because I tried to apply to work for them because I thought that they were going to open
a
little bit sooner than what they actually did. But Chance the Rapper bought the Chicagoist like a year ago.
Yeah.
Which is a long-standing Chicago
legend
news outlet, right? And right now it's pretty much it's under renovations, but they have their whole archive here. Kind of interesting how Chance the Rapper just pops up kind of everywhere all over the site, but that's kind of to be expected. I really enjoy the idea that like Chance the Rapper, a sort of lifelong Chicago resident, of definite lover of Chicago, like him, hate him, like his politics, hate his politics,
like his music.
However you feel about the guy, right? I think it's really good. I think it's a really good thing that like a Chicago native, a person who lives, breathes, and loves Chicago, bought this sort of like staple of the city, right? This lifelong staple of the city,
right?
And I'm
to do something with Chance.
to please do something. I don't know what you guys got planned, but like
I've always said that Chance was who Chicagoans from my generation had hoped that Kanye West was.
Yeah.
He's just kind of sewn into the everyday fabric of life here, and then uses his platform to elevate our stuff.
And you guys, and E. Heller and Anthony Reyes, you guys both have a point. Chance has been a disappointment, and Chance's father did work for Rahm Emanuel.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
not going to sit
We're not here
and,
to like stand on Chance. Like,
Yeah.
but, I mean, the whole reason for today's episode and this meanderings was also to give a full. The point of the show was to try to share as full of a comprehension of what we have to work with here in Chicago in
What
terms of
exists.
institutional support, actual movement work, organizations, like entertainment flexes that maybe we can work with. What is all in the city? How does it work? How does it work with each other in this moment of time? How we can organize that and leverage that. Unlike Steve Bannon, who would like to see, organize things towards fortifying against white genocide, we can maybe do it to have a better, more loving, holistic, interconnected world with all of these insane technological advances we've had. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, my point.
That'd be nice.
I think maybe
Probably
my
kill each
big
other,
point
though.
about Chance the Rapper is, like, one, I love his music. I'm such a huge fan. My cousin
Kind
and
of a poser. I
I.
want to listen to it now and then. Yeah.
That's like my cousin and I, would obsess over new Chance stuff when it came out all the time. So, like, as a musician, and I do music things too. So, like, as a musician, I have a great respect for him. I also love his sort of activism within the city. At the very least, he has dimmed it a little bit, right? To sort of open up the world, like the rest of his world, to other things.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
he went all out for Mara Enya, and that was a rough one. And again, I have to remind people it was Carlos Rosa that really tripped her out of DSA fame, which just lets you know politics is gross like that.
But I mean, like, the things that I want to, like, I really want to end this with like an applause
Yeah.
for Chance here at this point. I
Yeah.
know we don't have to like completely be like, oh, you did really great, but
No, it was great
I don't
that he
want
did that.
I don't want to leave the show on a sad note here this week at all. Chance has done a lot of great work for mainly students in inner city Chicago.
Right.
He's donated a lot of money. He's raised a lot of money through his charity work. His name and face are all over, like, very specifically, like the South Loop where he went to school, and sort of in that area, right? Like, and I think that there should be more people who are like Chance the Rapper who have the access that Chance does
Right.
to be able to get things done, right? But also, Chance even has a main point that it's not going to take a bunch of rich people to build up these programs. It
Right.
shouldn't have to rely. We shouldn't have to rely on the rich people
Right.
to do it. Now, should we tax the rich more? Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
And then that money, right, could then be used to actually build up a better system. But until then, it's
Yeah.
nice that we have affluent artists and people who want to actually invest in the communities that brought them up and gave them something, right?
I mean, I agree 100%, which is why I'm really glad that we want to end it with this story. Like, yeah, Chance is not a perfect public figure, and certainly his ties can be problematic for some of the things that we would want to advocate for. But he is, advocating for something to improve the city that he grew up in, and I always appreciate that. I even appreciate from Kanye West. I do think he's a little nuts sometimes. But
Kanye tweeted about how Nike is like innovating with shoes, and it just really annoys me that it's like, dude, there's so many other things that.
Well, I mean, like, that's something to run on, I guess.
That's.
Sorry,
You
but
got it.
real quick, just like Chance, we really hope that you leverage something good for Chicago Public School students, regardless of who wins in November. Chicago Public School students, once again, are going to be a political football for how our society views inner city kids and how we treat the human condition and upbringing here in our dystopian land. Chance has a real opportunity to do something decent here. You give King shout out to Block Club Chicago, but before that there was DNA info, there's Red Eye, there's a lot of, and like there's DSA, but before that there was, the community against racist and policing. Chicago's ever evolving, and our efforts need to stay on point, basically, with those evolutions. Chance has always been an ally to really high inflection points. So I'm just looking forward to him using that platform to help these causes. And everything that we have, whether you mess with it or you don't mess with it, if we can understand how it's working as a component to our own endeavors and these movement works, is hopefully how we get things done in a post-Bernie movement. That's where I'm at with it.
I think that's it.
That's
I think
it?
that's all we got. That's the
it?
whole show.
That was it?
That was it.
Oh, man,
Well, I feel better. I feel like I talked a whole lot, which is nice. I don't ever talk on any of these things, so this has been cool.
Yeah.
Where is this? I can't remember where I'm at in the world. Is this the last show that's on Thursday?
We will do 2 more Tuesday, Thursday shows. I mean, we'll do 1 more of each. So next week we'll do Tuesday, Thursday in the afternoon.
In the
afternoon, and we'll be moving Fear and Loathing to just Sundays. I'll continue to be a contributing guest on Heartlands Media on Mondays and Fridays. Again, check out Kira McCown's, Corporations Behaving Badly, which aired earlier today. Great short episode that's really comprehensive of what's going on with the Postmaster General. Stick around later for Lainey Peterson, Civically Minded, both in Chicago Corner and in our national Heartlands Media channel. Check out Chicago Reacts, which just went live with some great salmonella content. Of course, just the good, the bad, and the internet on
more
Saturdays.
coming out, yeah. Daniel just gave me the password to the Twitch.
Whoa. We have an OnlyFans channel now on our Discord. So if you want to know what that's all about, you should check out our Discord.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's nothing happening on the Twitch right now, because that's pretty much that's where my brain is going to be over the next month, is figuring out how that's going to work. So we'll talk more about that later. We'll chat later. We'll see you later on today. Actually, we'll see you in like 30 minutes on the HLM channel for Civically Minded with Lainey Peterson. In the meantime, take care and don't drink antifreeze. See you later.
There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part.